even at that time, some young girls who were very close to me and my family were killed in a church bombing. And then, of course, what I saw around me, I saw black people resisting. There's this myth that black people did not resist until Watts or until Malcolm or until the Black Panther Party. It's just not true. The first thing that the Black Panther Party did, of course, in Oakland was to patrol the community, to set up an armed patrol in order to ensure that black people were not harassed and intimidated by the local police department. But that had been done in the South. It was done in Birmingham. My father participated in armed patrols because they had to protect the community. They'd get out every night in shifts, of course, with their weapons, and they drive around the community to make sure there weren't any strange races there to bomb, because they bombed houses all over. That's, as I've said on numerous occasions, my earliest childhood memories are bound up with the sounds of dynamite. People get very upset when they hear that black people have weapons, or own weapons. And it's so hypocritical because they fail to realize the very real things which force black people to arm themselves. Something that a lot of people perhaps are not aware of is the fact that W.E. Du Bois, who was the greatest American black scholar and teacher, and he was also a member of the Communist Party towards the end of his life. He carried a gun all his life, all his life. He carried a shotgun in the South, and he carried a pistol all of his life.
It may be true that it was necessary for him to carry a gun, and you might well have needed a bodyguard of black armed men. But you're in prison, and other black leaders are now in prison. Does that mean that the center of black radicalism is the prison?
I don't know exactly what you mean by black radicalism being centered in the prisons. The problem is that, of course, everything is intertwined in this society. Nothing is really isolated from anything else, and certainly can't separate the movement inside the prisons from the black liberation movement, which has been evolving over years and years and years. There came a point where the revolutionary forces at work in the black community began to express themselves in jails and prisons. However, unlike, say, the campuses, unlike any other area in the society, even the armed forces, the room for any kind of meaningful political activity is so narrow that obviously as soon as the prison officials became aware of what was happening, they would confront these new developments with the most devastating kind of repression imaginable. And this is why, when I was involved in all of the problems at UCLA surrounding my membership in the Communist Party, and when I was fighting for my job, I had just become aware of what was happening in the prisons, and I always insisted that people who were supporting me in my fight to retain my job, regardless of what my political beliefs and political activities were, had to look at the prisons. Around that time at Soledad Prison, there were what I call, and what most people in the prison movement call political assassinations, which occurred. There were 3 men who were known to be political activists in Soledad, and for no apparent reason at all, they were shot down, killed, murdered. I felt that they had been killed because of their political activities, because of their political beliefs. The Soledad brothers, George Jackson, Fleeta Drumgo, John Clouchet, were indicted shortly after that for the murder of Ricard. That also was an instance of the ruthless retaliation that the prison officials would resort to in order to stifle the developing movement inside the prison.